When I was very young, I used to think that what I was thinking, when I was thinking, all the thoughts that were coming to me was my thoughts. But then I remember one time when I was very young, I think it was as early as 3 years old. Then again, I don't remember names or names of people or places, but I remember experiences. So I remember this experience about thinking about something and suddenly somebody talking to me inside of my thoughts, inside of my ideas. And it was usually the feeling of guiding me into creating a possibility, they will ask me questions, say, how do you feel about this? Would you like to create that? It always came as a question, and they were short questions. And then I started noticing that I was being trained to have wisdom. So since I was very young, I had this deep wisdom inside of me, but it was not me. These ideas that were talking to me were my ancestors and light beings. Some of my light beings are my ancestors that represent light, that are teaching me to be a contribution to this world. So these teachings can be very complicated and they can be very simple. But the important thing is to give a message to the person who is ready to listen to the message. So I love technology. And so when in the world light beings, which are people that has crossover, there's also scientists as well as teachers, as well as mothers, as well as fathers. And so the different light beings, even us, when we cross over, we can become a new light being. We are here because we send a message because we want to be in a contribution one way or another. So right now, my light being, who is guiding me into bringing this message, is helping me to remember that I have to learn to be really humble in my heart, to be able to communicate with them as well when I was very young. So they make sure that in my process of thoughts, I wouldn't create duality, which means I will not create judgment. So that's one of the ones that, because of my genetics, got the tendency, because of my ancestors coming from Spain, having the sense of superiority over my ancestors, that people in my country, in Peru, because of the color of the skin, because they were indigenous, I carry that behavior in my genetics. So in these ideas and these voices make sure that I didn't create that. They always remind me that I should process information, giving a chance to everyone, and allowing them to help me to understand why people behave the way how they behave. And eventually, when I was ready to understand more later on in life, that was still the foundation. But the other foundation that was very important is that to be constantly connected to them, whatever situation I was going through. And that was like coming to the United States to go to college. It was the urge to be in the energy of right or wrong, prove somebody was better than somebody else, or somebody else dressing better than somebody else. All those different things that took me into a space of wanting to compare myself to others. That was another thing that I had to be very aware not to do it, to be able to develop the gifts that I have now. So, and eventually, one of the things that I learned, but when I go and talk to them and I'm with my clients, is that I'm always present to these different feelings that of the Inca cross, which are the strongest ones, and generating energy to have my communication open with them. For instance, when I'm in the sense of responsibility, and I feel that, and that's another one that was very important that I have learned through time, number 10 in the Inca cross. Because this is the world where I grew up, responsibility was to do what was right. But that's not, when I go into that, it kind of takes me off balancing my channel of communication, shuts down a little. So I have to be very, very clear into feeling what is a feeling without contamination. So responsibility to them is you being responsible in fulfilling your dreams, your desires, what you want in life. And that opens a strong feeling in your heart where it allows you to be more open to expansion. So anything that's going to take you into expansion, according to him, to what he's saying, like he's saying right now to me, that I need to be a little more clear and explaining responsibility. In our world, we have contaminated that feeling of responsibility because we have placed so much punishment into that. If you don't do what I tell you to do, I will punish you. And so that punishment, which is part, and it's another part of contamination of judgment, triggers people to go into lower frequency, and then we lose the ability to be in tune with our intuition and these ideas that can come from high frequencies to take us to the next level of high understanding who we are. So that's what my ancestor wanted to, the message that I wanted him to share with you today. Be aware of your thoughts, what's coming in your thoughts. Your thoughts are who you are, and you have the power and the responsibility to choose what are the thoughts that you want to have in your mind. So that's the message. I'm really happy to be able to share this message with you.